Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. Vade. I want to study the esophagus. First basic thing, esophagus is spelled with a PH. The F sound comes with a PH and not the letter F. Now, some basic things that I want to accomplish through this video lesson is preparing you to know some vocabulary terms, to know some very basic things like what the esophagus does and where it's located, and just hearing some words before you come to class on Thursday. So, where is the esophagus? Well, it's in your body. If you look more specifically, the esophagus is actually right over here. And I'll kind of circle that. That is the esophagus, boys and girls. You'll notice that it actually starts slightly above your neck. And in fact, if you look at this picture over here, the esophagus is an organ that is at the very back of your throat. It actually is considered to be your throat. This is the mouth. Okay, food will enter your mouth and then it will enter the esophagus like this, which actually leads us to inferring and understanding perhaps that the job of the esophagus is to take food from your mouth and put it into, well, I'll let you guess. Where do you think this esophagus leads to? If it starts close to the back of the mouth in the throat, where does it look like it leads to? The stomach, which makes me infer that the job of the esophagus is to carry food from the mouth that's been chewed by the teeth and dissolved by the saliva to the stomach. Here's another picture. And to keep it simple, you would chew your food with your teeth, with your molars, with your incisors, your canines, your premolars. You would chew them, the saliva would dissolve the food, and then that would actually enter your esophagus over here, and it would go down your esophagus like this and travel to your stomach, where some more actions will take place. I want to show you a picture of some real esophaguses, or maybe they're called esophagi, and this is actually what the inside of your esophagus looks like. And food enters your mouth, and then after you chew it and you swallow your food, the swallowed food enters the esophagus and is going to take a trip to the stomach. Let's try that again. Swallowed food is going to enter the esophagus from the mouth and then travel through the stomach. However, we're not going to call swallowed food. We have another name for swallowed food. Swallowed food is called bolus. Yes, I'll say that again. Bolus. Try this out tonight. Eat some food, chew it, and then go look in the mirror. What you're seeing is food that is about to become bolus. It's not bolus yet. Once you swallow the food, it's technically called bolus. B-O-L-U-S. So, what you're seeing in this picture, yes, some would say it is food, incorrect. Some would say it's swallowed food, incorrect. It's technically called bolus. Did you know that your esophagus sends food from your mouth through your throat to your stomach through a process called peristalsis? And in fact, check this out. Let's go back to this visual. The way the food goes from your mouth down to your throat in your esophagus all the way to your stomach is just like the way you squeeze a toothpaste tube to get toothpaste out. So I want you to do this. Next time you're squeezing toothpaste out of a tube, I want you to realize that's exactly how your esophagus works. Weird. So you can consider your esophagus to be like a giant tube of toothpaste, except there's no toothpaste in there, there's food. This is a term we'll be using tomorrow. It's called peristalsis. Peri, do you know what that means? Peri means this, through. The action of peristalsis is very specific, and I'll show you what it looks like here. Peristalsis is your esophagus contracting and then expanding so that food can be moved. I don't want you to think that food just drops down this tube and into your stomach like that. It just doesn't drop down. There is no dropping of food. In fact, don't try this. You could eat food upside down, and your esophagus is going to move the food into your stomach by a process called peristalsis. Now, we're going to learn more about peristalsis, but I've told you that peristalsis is like squeezing a toothpaste out of a tube. So, how does it work? Again, take a look at this picture, this diagram here. What you'll notice is there is some contraction right here. I'll even mark it right here. You see the esophagus squeezes in, and then it'll squeeze out. So you have to imagine putting your two hands, your palms almost together, squeeze in, squeeze out, squeeze in, squeeze out. And your esophagus actually, if I were to draw esophagus here, would move the bolus, not the food, bolus is chewed food, it would move it down into the stomach by squeezing the food or the bolus in and squeezing out. Squeezing in, squeezing out. And this picture kind of gives you an idea of what peristalsis looks like. It's like squeezing a tube, and your bolus gets squeezed down into your stomach. And I think that's the best verb to use for peristalsis, squeezing, because it involves contracting and expanding. And that's really it. That's the lesson. One thing I do want to show you, I've got a YouTube video of this that I wanted to show you over here. You can take a look at it if you'd like. And here it is. Watch. This is peristalsis taking place. Well, I'm sorry the video didn't work. I'll see you in class. Bye.